are you aware that you have, and what are those different voices? And the example I put up there is the way you talk to me versus the way you talk to a best friend. Just take like 2 or 3 minutes to do that. How many different voices are you currently aware that you have? When I'm talking about voices, I'm thinking about, okay, if I'm going into a job interview, I know I have to present myself in a certain way. So I'm not changing my personality, I'm not trying to be a different person. It's not about being fake. It's not about like, oh my gosh, she's so silly, that's not who she really is. It's just about, okay, I'm going to be this particular Mr. Doyle at this moment, and I'm going to talk this way. But then when I go home, my mom, I'm like, hey mommy, how are you? I haven't seen you in so long. Because I'm a mama's boy, I'm okay with that. But my voice obviously changes. I wouldn't go into a job interview and be like, hey bossy, how are you? It doesn't work the same way. So at this moment, how many different voices are you aware that you currently have? Okay. While you're doing that, I'm going to start brainstorming the different roles and the different voices that I certainly play. I'm definitely a son. I'm a teacher. Right? I'm a brother. I'm the oldest of 6. They are different voices, and even within brothers, there's different voices. Because if you think of, remember, I'm adopted, right? So I have all these different kind of angles when I'm looking at my family. So I have my brother I was adopted with that I was raised with, who, I mean, like, that's who I know the best. I can call him Shrek, and I know that he's probably going to hit me, but we have that relationship. Whereas my sisters, I've only known them for a couple of years, and I'm extremely protective of them, and the way I talk to them is almost like, I want to be the big brother. I want to make sure, like, okay, you know, who are you dating? Are they treating you right? Are they being good to you? Like, my voice changes very much so with whoever it is I'm discussing, even within this role as brother, right? What other roles do you think I currently have?
Are you a friend?
Yeah, I have friends, right? I'd hope you think that I have friends. I could be a friend. And even within this one, again, I have different voices. I have acquaintances. We all know what I mean when I say acquaintances, right? Like, people, like, probably half the people on your Facebook are acquaintances, right? They're like, you met them like on 125th, like one time, you're like, oh, add me on Facebook, we'll totally catch up. But you're not like best friends. Whereas Perla talking to Crystal has probably a whole other language that she can use, a whole different voice, because they're like, you know, they're besties, right? They're like really close friends. Maybe they aren't anymore, I don't know. But it depends. I know you're smooth. Alright, do me a favor. Let's go ahead and copy this definition while you're working. Please look to your definition section of your notebooks. Copy it quickly. Subculture. Just quick raise of hands, no voices. How many of you have heard of subculture before? Okay, 1. The idea of subculture. What's the word that you've heard in that word though a bunch? Culture, right? And we've talked a lot about culture this unit. We understand that, like, you know, we define our culture, whether it's the neighborhood that we live in, whether it's the city that we live in, the country. There's different variances of culture. Well, now we're going to really like give ourselves a good definition to work with, and that's subculture. A smaller subsection of a culture. A group having social, economic, ethnic, or other traits distinctive enough to distinguish it from others within the same culture or society. So here at TMA, let's consider Thurgood Marshall Academy a culture. This is our school culture. Within that school culture, we're going to have different subcultures, right? Yeah. There's all kinds of different subcultures. So while you're still copying that down, I want to know some of the subcultures that exist here. Yes, Brandon.
The fashion. The
fashion show, right? Anyone that works in the fashion show. Okay. Who else I hand up? Who's what?
Can you say uniform?
As a subculture? Well, everyone's in the uniform though, so would that be a subculture?
No.
It's not necessarily distinct outside of the culture of TMA. I think that's something that has to do with the culture of TMA. I wouldn't call it a subculture of it. Well, think about maybe the activities you're involved in. What are you involved in that's not required at TMA?
I mean, not me, but the robotics team.
Robotics team. And I heard someone say basketball as well.
And squash.
And squash. Yeah, you could be sporty. So, okay, now I want to model something for you guys. Let's say that I was a student at Thurgood Marshall Academy, and I was involved in, sure, I'll say basketball, even though I'm the worst basketball player. Like when I say I dribble like this, I dribble like this. Like I can shoot, if you put me on the 3-point line, I can shoot something, but like I try to move from one side of the court, like, and I'm white. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm as white as they get when it comes to basketball. Well, let's say I'm in basketball, and then I'm also maybe a leader within the National Honor Society. Because if you look back here, everyone copy the definition? Yeah. I can move this over. If you look over here, we talked about these different voices. A leader was one of them.
To draw a house.
and like I think of The Sims when I first.
Right.
Make a house and each room like leave enough space instead of furniture. It would be like the voice and why you use that voice and in what situation and like different like examples of that.
100%, perfect. Like, it's the idea of like you're filling this house with the different voices that we've already brainstormed that we use. So for example, if I'm gonna, and I swear if you make fun of my drawing because you know I draw like a cat with one arm, like that's not fair. But I want to try to draw a house here.
How far
You gotta draw one big
If you really fail to draw a house,
and a
you
triangle.
fail to draw a house.
Okay, so this is a roof.
He's doing good. Leave him alone.
the top. Like,
There you go. There you go. It looks like a circus tent, but he's almost there.
Look, there's a door, and it's gonna be a two-story house.
Yeah,
That's how I used to draw my houses when I was in the second grade.
And like down over here, you know, because I'm from Florida, no, we're gonna have a garage.
Looks like an elf. Just call it abstract.
All right, it's abstract art, okay? So, eyes up, make sure all here. So the idea of a garage, I know none of us have a garage, but like back home in Florida, like we had a garage, it was like actually kind of a place to escape. And for my father especially, it's like where he like got all of his like aggression out, it was like his alone time. So there, honestly, his voice was like his internal voice, which we don't actually think about, but that is a voice, right, Daniel? Pay attention? So the idea of an internal voice still counts as one of your voices. Those thoughts that go on in your mind, that's where this would happen for me. It's my thinking time, my internal voice.
And
Thinking.
when you use your internal voice, how exactly, like, what do you say to yourself?
Well, what do you say to
It's
yourself?
thoughts.
Sometimes
Exactly.
it is thoughts, but think about sometimes the ridiculousness that like comes across. You all read Catcher in the Rye last year, right?
Yeah.
Right there is a perfect example of internal voice. Right there you have.
But he doesn't keep it in.
He is with us.
But I make weird faces.
So, Holden Caulfield has this internal voice that's constantly going, right? And in his mind, there's all kinds of things like, oh look, there's ducks, and oh gosh, a homeless person, and oh look, shiny object. Like, he's got ADD like no other, but that's kind of our internal voice. We allow ourselves to jump around from thought to thought, and it's completely fine. So now let's say this is let's say this is the bathroom window over here. So there is going to be like,
That's when you're most peaceful.
peaceful. I say creative because I only sing in the shower because that way no one else can hear me. So I'm all about that outlet for me, and that's like a different voice. So there it's kind of my creative voice. I get to, I get to like sing along in the shower, and then I turn and go, Simon, what did you think? Paula, thank you. As I rock out to whatever. I'm not gonna tell you what I sing in the shower. But you get the idea. That I can have my creative outlet there. Now, what about, let's say this is your bedroom. Someone give me an example of what your voice would be when you're like in your home alone. That's your space. Hands please, I gotta wait.
Myself.
Still they're whispering. Omar? Alright, Brandy, then up to a chair. Relax. Okay, so like, relax, like, in what way? How do you relax? Like, who would you be talking to in your room? Yourself, but like think about think about all the other technology that we have that we can communicate with people. Who are you talking to the most of the time in your room?
Oh, my sister.
Your sister, or maybe like even like Facebook, like you're talking to your friends and things like that. So I feel like it's where you can be personable, but also maybe the most secure.
Yeah.
Especially at your age, your bedroom is like that is my space.
Yes.
That is my domain. Like I'm on Facebook and I just want to say everything about how I think about this girl. She's so cute. La, 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 la. Like whatever you say. But you can be honest. You can be authentic with yourself. So maybe it's your authentic voice.
Or it could be the fakest voice you have.
Or it could be the fakest voice you have. But I want you to tell me that, okay? So, modeling this, I want you to all draw your own house. Yeah, your journal's fine, but if you need the room, but there is space on the sheet, I want you to draw your own house, and I want you to label the rooms in your house. Or apartment is fine. Yeah, but I want your own
Yeah, me
voice.
too.
Any questions? I should need another stocky in the back, please.
Okay,
3, 2,
because I'm gonna make it back.
1. Close those cabinets, please. 0. Yes, Jim.
Can I like draw like
Yeah.
not a house per se, just
Like a quadrant where you see the rooms?
Yeah.
Totally fine. A blueprint, because it even asks for a blueprint. That's fine. Yeah, Cheyenne.
Can I draw like the 5 floors in my building and then like